Hello, senior seminar students. Wanted to take a minute to focus on Milestone 2. So what you're looking at is the Milestone 2 Guidelines and Rubric document. For this milestone, you'll be focusing on the methods and results sections of your research report. I want to first bring your attention to this right here, data sets. And I want to emphasize that you will not be using any data sets. The references can be ignored when you see anything related to the data sets and anything related to analyzing data using statistical analyses. I also want to reiterate that you will not be collecting any real data, therefore you are not permitted to recruit participants or hand out surveys or anything of that nature. As you are developing a hypothetical research report, this is going to be designed as sort of a research proposal. Okay, so let's go through this. If you look down here, you'll see the methods section, and there's a bullet list of things that you should include in this section of your research report. You're going to develop this in a recipe-like fashion. So assume that somebody could take your method section and use that to actually carry out this hypothetical research study. Therefore, it must be sufficiently detailed. You're going to start with describing the experimental procedure and the setting for your study. Where will your study take place? Where will it be carried out? What procedure will you use? Remember, at this point, you already have your topic, you've already developed a coherent research question, and you've also developed a hypothesis to be tested. How will you specifically test that hypothesis? The types and subjects. How will you select your subjects? How will they be recruited? How will they be assigned to groups? Make sure to sufficiently detail this information. You're also going to describe how the data is going to be collected. What steps, what procedures will you put in place to collect the data? Will you use a survey? If so, which survey? We focused on ethics in this course, so make sure you have a detailed plan to address any kind of ethical concerns, especially if you have a sensitive topic. Make sure you describe the informed consent process, debriefing, how you as the researcher would protect participants. And then, of course, you're going to describe your data analysis method. What statistical procedure, what test would you use? A t-test, chi-square, ANOVA. You want to provide a rationale for this selection, and it's going to be based off of the type of research that you're conducting. A little hint, go into the literature that you reviewed and look at a similar study. What procedures were used in that study? That will help you identify which test you should use. Now if I scroll down here, looking at the methods and results section. You may be asking yourself, well, how will I have results if I'm not actually collecting data, I'm not analyzing data, how will I report on the results? This section, the results section, is going to focus on what you would expect to find. It's sort of like an expected findings section, where you're going to describe the expected findings, what you would hope to or expect to be the result of your hypothetical study. You must tie this back, these results, to your original hypothesis. Remember, your hypothesis is a prediction statement. Was it supported or not? You're also going to discuss your research question. Your research question, as I've said, is there to guide your research study. when you're talking about your research question in the results section, was it answered? Remember, it's hypothetical, it's expected. You're going to discuss the data that was used to describe the patterns or relationships between the variables revealed in the results of your study. Once again, this is made up, but it should tie and logically flow from the research question and the hypothesis that you developed. As you work on your method and results section, keep in mind that you must adhere to the APA guidelines in terms of formatting. If you include any citations, they may be limited if you're citing an instrument that you're using or something like that in the methods and results section. But make sure you cite them in APA format. Use 12-point Times New Roman font, double spaced, and this section should roughly be 4 to 5 pages. There's some detailed information here on the rubric. I suggest that you have the rubric out as you're developing your method section. So these align with the bullet points that I just reviewed, but in order to reach proficiency, make sure that you include with sufficient detail, remember, details, 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 how you meet each of these criteria within each of these sections. If you have any questions, be sure to reach out to your instructor. Good luck.